priestly prerogative in the Son of the Wolf series. Son of the Wolf collection, the Son of the Wolf collection by Jack London, where we're still very much in the world because the Malamute kid shows up here. Father Rumbaud is the priest with the priestly prerogative, shows up here, where it concerns the unhappy marriage, the unhappy pairing of Grace and Edwin Bentham. Bentham being a dope, a brutal dope, who Grace Bentham basically carts along, does basically all the accomplishments that Edwin Bentham has. She is the one who actually has succeeded for him and sort of setting him up well on a claim up in the north for gold, and they're indeed bringing in quite a bit. But there is a neighbor. There's a neighbor who Clyde Wharton, who she actually is in love with. And while he's kind of spending a lot of their gold dust at the local saloon, they're like, we should run away. However, they also bring Father Rumbaud there to kind of have to state the other case. And he does indeed state the other case so well that Grace stays with Edward Bentham. Edwin Bentham. Even though Edwin Bentham actually shows up while this is going on, she's decided she's probably going to have to stay. And the priest actually lies that, no, she's not here. And he accepts that and goes off. And they seem to stay together. And we have a little coda at the end where Father Rumbaud is traveling now to a probably more remote native area where they're having trouble with alcohol, because it's that kind of story. And he kind of goes, I feel bad. He basically feels bad at the end because he did actually send her back. The man speaks true. My soul's not vexed with that. The line, the pen stand with God. But what then? Your hands are clean, says Kid Malamute. Not so, kid. I have thought much, and yet the thing remains. I knew, and I made her go back. So it's like, I made her go back. That I knew what kind of a guy Edwin Bentham was, what her likely fate was, and she sent him back. This is very much kind of traditional role values. It's interesting. Within the story, it says woman has no rights, can't stake a claim, can't do anything. You have to work it entirely through a husband. And she's the rare kind of woman who is able to work it and make the man think he's actually hot shit and that she didn't actually do all this for him. And as thus, because he's a brute and an unthinking asshole, he doesn't acknowledge or, thank her at all for any of that. It completely takes her for granted. Whereas Wharton would have cherished her and indeed talks about taking her off to San Francisco, and from there the world where she could be Cleopatra. They would go to Paris, they would go to Jerusalem if she wanted, kind of promise her the world. But they would never be able to get married because it's the 1900s. They would never be able to do all that stuff. And any children, that was the clinching thing, any children born would be bastards. Especially, it's funny, it's not so hard for the girl, but for the boy, it would be terrible, which is okay. But yes, so yeah, that is A Priestly Prerogative by Jack London.